What is the auxiliary? Such a large question. It's an 80-year-long love story. It started in 1946. A group of Halifax women had been very successfully raising funds to build Spitfires during the war.
Spitfire, you're going to immediately think an airplane. But these were actually the Spitfires. These women were so creative and resourceful, and they looked around and realized we need to help the most vulnerable in our community, and that was the children who were being looked after at the IWK.
Between the board of the Children's Hospital and these 22 women, it was decided that they would form the Women's Auxiliary of the Children's Hospital.
Most people would say, okay, I know the auxiliary, they, bring the toys to the kids and a lot of the smaller things, but these guys were revolutionary. Like, they were unbelievable.
They resurrected a fun fair that had been going for a long time called Kermesse. And that was their first major fundraiser, and all of the proceeds from that went to the hospital.
I joined Kermesse in 2019. When I first did the Kermesse, I didn't really realize that we would be able to raise that much money.
Basically, whatever the hospital needed or they wanted to try something, these guys either gave the seeding funding or they gave the whole funding.
I don't think research at the IWK would be where it is now without that initial support from the auxiliary. They showed the example to others that this should be done.
We educated ourselves wherever possible. We looked deeply into issues, and we put our money where we felt it would be best spent.
They years ago bought the first walk-in refrigerator. They created a store called Bigs and Littles. They had a coffee shop. They actually were behind telemedicine. And there's literally a list that we don't have time to list off in this interview of firsts that they were behind that put the IWK on the map nationally. They were doing all of that, but at the same time, which was what I love about the auxiliary, they cared about the human piece. But my favorite story, which really I think encapsulates who these women were, was when a child was going down for surgery.
Children were asked to count, and when they woke up, whatever number they got to before they fell asleep, there were shiny new pennies for them. Now, that doesn't mean much today, but there was penny candy then in the 1940s and 1950s.
The child then is remembering the penny. That was how smart they were.
They quickly realized that the work of children is play. It's how they find some normalcy in a completely upsetting situation. The auxiliary has been marching along with the hospital its whole journey to try to promote it towards excellence in care, not only greater medical care, but more all-round care so that the hospital was a less scary place.
During COVID, a lot of things had to shift. And so the auxiliary, they could not go in, no more than the foundation could go into the hospital. It was a very difficult time. And the auxiliary, they were worried that all the programs would stop. And so the IWK Foundation, through the generosity of our donors, we were really honored. We stepped in the breach and made sure that all of those programs carried on. And then when it became obvious that the auxiliary was moving on, we were so honored to be able to talk to the auxiliary and figure out a way to carry forward that magic that they had created. IWK Foundation is now going to be the custodian of the IWK Auxiliary Comfort and Care Endowment Fund. This endowment, while technically the auxiliary may not be together, it's their legacy.
I am so happy that the work of the auxiliary will be carried on. It means the world to me and the world to all the women who have come before me, who showed such vision, who worked so hard, who are not alive today to see that what they worked for and what they strived for is going to be carried on, that it made such a difference.
We are their custodians now, and we're going to carry their legacy of these Spitfire women into this endowment, all with the intention of making sure that the original principles and values that they brought are honored, and that penny, whatever that looks like, will always carry forward.